Okay, so let's move on to definition. Definition is down here next to the bottom on this chart. Definition refers to the groupings of your defined centers, the relationship between your centers, and how many centers you have that are connected that aren't necessarily connected to other centers. So there are 5 different types of definition. There's no definition, which means that all of your centers are open or white, and that would be the type that the reflector would have. There's single definition, which would mean you maybe have 2 or 3 or even 4 centers that are connected, maybe even more that are connected, but there are no other sets of centers that are connected together but are disconnected from those primary centers. Split definition is when you have 2 sets of connected centers, but they aren't connected to each other. And then triple split definition is when you have 3 sets of centers that are connected, but they're not connected to each other. And then quadruple split would be 4 of those types of combinations. So if your eyes are glazed over, just bear with me. I'm going to show you the triple split in Mariah Carey's chart. Let's use bright pink. Okay, so the reason that Mariah Carey is a triple split is because she has the head and ajna defined. She has the sacral center and the G center defined. And then she has the root and the spleen defined. I'm going to try to do this so you can see this. But if you notice, there's no connection between the root and the G center or the root and the sacral center. You have to look closely here, but you can see that there's no defined gate. Like this gate would have to be defined, this gate would have to be defined, or this gate would have to be defined in order for the root and the spleen to be connected to the sacral and the G. So there are 3 different sets of energies that she functions from, but they don't talk to each other. They don't connect. So your definition ultimately shows you how you assimilate energy from the outside, how you take it in, how you process it. And if you have splits in your definition, you're likely to feel at times like you operate as more than one person. So Mariah Carey probably feels at times that she is very mentally inspired and operates from a very strong mind and a strong way of thinking. At other times, she's probably tapped into her work energy and how that calls out her fixed direction in life. And then at other times, she's operating off of adrenaline and instinct. So unless there are people or energies in her environment that can connect the root and the spleen with the sacral and the G and the head and ajna with the sacral and the G, she's not going to feel like there's smooth interaction between all of the energies that she has. So this may actually cause her to reach out for those connections, to try and get those energies that would allow her to feel more connected and more integrated. So on a deeper level, your definition can give you clues about where you may be most affected by conditioning. So for Mariah Carey, she may be affected through these gates, these white gates, where she thinks that she has these themes, or she's always attracted to people who have those themes that bring more connection into the energies of her chart. Or it may be in her energy centers as well. Okay, so now it's time for you to identify your definition. So in the resources for this section of the course, you will find a link to a printable blank body graph. So go ahead and download and print that. Then take some colored pencils or crayons. This is where you get to use your artistic abilities. You're going to take your chart and you're going to color in the full channels on your chart and the centers that are defined. Color in the defined channels and the defined centers. And if you have one or several splits, you can use different colors for your groupings. So let me show you just briefly what I'm talking about here. So let's look at Mariah Carey's head in ajna. She has this channel defined, the 6447, and my coloring is bad with these pencils, but you kind of get the idea. I'll color that in, color this in, color this in, and boy is my art bad. Okay, and then she has the 34 and the 10. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, hopefully your art's better. And then the 14 too. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, look at that. Straight down, straight down. And then I can color all of that in. Hopefully you're going to do a much better job than this. And then she's got the 5818. The spleen and the root. So you kind of get what I'm doing here. And then you can start to identify, okay, this channel connects these two centers. These two centers don't connect with these centers. You don't color in the gates because that's just going to confuse you. Don't color in these hanging gates. You're just looking to see how the centers are connected, and then you can identify how they're not connected.